I've been invited to the 4th Forum for Promoting Peace in Muslim Societies. This year it's been held at the prestigious St Regis Hotel in Abu Dhabi. I really can't wait to hear what the speakers and delegates have to say.
This is the 4th forum that we've held, and we're trying to adopt this iterative process in trying to inoculate a lot of the extremist tendencies that are happening within our Muslim communities or misunderstandings of their faith. What we're trying to do is address the primary narrative of Islam. So we always talk about counter-narratives around Islam, but what is the true teachings of Islam? Through this methodology, we're able to reconcile our beautiful, vast tradition and be able to also live in the world that we live in today.
لقد قال بحق هانس كيونغ بأنه لا سلام دون سلام بين الأديان، فإذا وقع السلام والتصالح والتصافح بين الأديان هناك يكون السلام. نحن نريد أن نحقق ذلك. رسالات الأنبياء إنما جاءت لخلاص البشر ولم تأتي لإبادة البشر ولا للكراهية. هم يقولون لا للكراهية.
This conference is very important, and in fact, the Forum for Promoting Peace in Muslim Societies is one of these unique forums in the world today. And the forum was started almost 4 years ago with not a reactory, not in reaction to a specific basically issue or current affairs, but the vision of Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayya is actually to find a forum and a platform for scholars from around the world, thinkers and professors and people of other traditions to come together and discuss how they can promote peace and how they can work together to bring peace to the world.
This conference brings together people from all over the world, so it's not surprising that many of us have come from the United States who care about stronger interreligious cooperation to confront hatred and bigotry of all kinds across the globe. The leadership of so many prominent Muslim leaders, both Muslim scholars and political leaders and civil society leaders in Muslim majority countries coming together to talk about how to lift up a better understanding of Islam, how to confront forces of radicalism, and how to work cooperatively in interfaith endeavors on behalf of reducing religious tolerance and enhancing religious freedom. This is an exciting prospect for us, and I came with a great deal of eagerness to listen and to learn.
If we believe in the concepts of peace, then the concepts of peace have to be actualized not by just what we say at meetings, but by what will happen when we leave these meetings in the way that we lead our lives. So I'm privileged to share with Imam Majid and Pastor Roberts an opportunity where we've gathered Jews, Christians, and Muslims together. And what's most important is that we meet first in a retreat in which we turn the other into our brother.
I'm an evangelical pastor from America, and we evangelicals have the absolute worst relationship with Muslims of any group in the States. So the fact that they would ask me to be a part of that, to be here, I'm very grateful. And I think it's building bridges. It's saying, hey, we're Muslim scholars talking about Islamic issues, but we want to have others that are here as well that are not our faith so that they can hear from us, our perceptions and our views.
The biggest proponent of Islamophobia in America are the evangelicals. It's my tribe. You cannot change their mind. The more you tell them that they're wrong, the more they're going to push back on you. But guess what? I'm an evangelical. I can say what I want to. I was born by them. I was bred from them. I was educated from them. I train their young pastors. I speak at the conferences. You can't say a thing, but I can say a whole lot. And when they see people like me and Imam Majid are close friends, and me and Sheikh bin Baya are friends, and they see that how can Bob be friends with all these Muslims? It's a game changer. The biggest challenge we have is not how do we intellectually discuss the differences we have in religion, but how do we learn to relate to one another? How do we learn to love one another?
When we blame people, it may be true, but there's no way out of that hole because you get angry and you just become more polarized. When the response is, this is what's wrong, this is what we're going to do. We can't help what you do, but this is what we're going to do. There's hope in that.
We must pray for the whole world, not just the Muslims, not just the Christians, not just the Jews. We must pray because we were all created in the image of God. And if we can't pray because of that, then we're just going to constantly fight.
As well as the numerous keynotes over the 3 days, there are also these general sessions where groups of delegates have got together who've come from very different backgrounds and faiths, and they discuss various issues, like, for example, this one, which is the fear of Islam, the causes and contexts.
Anti-Semitism never went away in America, but people became embarrassed to do it. Racism never went away, but people became embarrassed to do it. One thing that happened in the last year is that people got less embarrassed. The president almost legitimated it, but guess what? The embarrassment's coming back. And that's where I find some hope here. People, whether they are anti-Muslim or not, they're embarrassed to say if they are, and that's good.
The Islamic world needs to be moving away from the pulpit onto social media. Make it easy for young Muslims to understand what it means to be a Muslim living in the West. Where is, their sense of belonging and duty in a country where the majority are not Muslims? We need to be able to build and create new leaders, religious leaders, imams in the UK, because in many of the Arab and the Middle East, you have religious authority, you have religious institutions. We are not in the same position in the United Kingdom. We don't have strong leadership and strong religious institutions. If you are a young 16-year-old Muslim living in the United Kingdom and you wanted to learn about your religion, where would you go? Nobody knows. And yet we have seen evidence when young Muslims have been searching about Islam, they have gone on the internet, and unfortunately they have ended up looking at the wrong Islamic extremist media channels, and they have become radicalized.
Many places, particularly within government, there's a thinking that government can help. And the truth of the matter is, at least my experience within the US government, is that if anything, the government can convene, can bring people together, can help people to think about the narratives. But they have very little and sometimes strong limitations on what they can say, how they can engage with religious communities.
We all need to coexist in this world. And whether you use a religious framework or a secular framework, I think the forum organizers are saying we do share one humanity. And the one humanity is essentially we have to share this planet, we have to work with the environment, we have to work with each other, and put a sense of a high level of urgency to all our work.
So this conference is, again, another very important platform. We need to encourage it and see it with a very warm and open attitude, because it's the first step in the UAE, in the heart of the Muslim societies, and it is a conference that encourages peace building in Muslim societies. But of course, like any conferences, it's a first step, and there's much more that needs to be done. There's a lot of talk on top, on one level, about peace in Islam, which Islam is about, because Islam is from the word salam, and we all know that. But we need to go beyond that. We need to go into action, into strategy, into planning. What concrete steps have we taken so far as a Muslim community, as a world community? Because these are very difficult times. So how do we work in a concrete, strategic way as a global humanity? And particularly the Muslim Ummah, the Muslim community, how do we work to revive a sense of knowledge, a sense of humanity, a sense of respect for the other?
One of the most important elements about Islam is that it came in a time of immense war amongst the Arab tribes. And because of that, the Prophet ﷺ had a profound concern for establishing peace. Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayyah's approach is always to look at ourselves first. The Quran says, قُلْ هُوَ مِنْ عِنْدِ أَنفُسِكُمْ, say it's from your own selves. And so, how much have we contributed to the Islamophobia? And undeniably, a lot has happened, like the attack on Iraq. You had a lot of horrible things that were done. America has a lot of responsibility for the problems, at least the administrations that have been there, and England as well, and France, what happened in Syria, what happened in Libya. These are huge problems, but despite that, I can't deal with that, but I can deal with my own attitude and how I view things, and I think we have to look forward and stop looking back. We're always looking back and using the grievances of the past to increase the grievances of the present, which just extend grievances into the future. And for us, it's like, how do we stop what's happening? That's our position. Sheikh Abdullah talks about being firefighters, just putting out fire. You don't ask who started the fire. You know, we can talk about that later. Let's just try to put the fire out.
It's been another fantastic day and truly inspiring to see so many people come from different communities from all over the world. And tonight we're going to mark the occasion with a gala dinner and awards ceremony.
يدين بدينه في حرية وليس لأحد سيطرة على عقيدة أحد، لأن الله سبحانه وتعالى لم يفوض أحدا من خلقه في الحكم على الناس بالكفر أو عدم الكفر. هذه علاقة بين الله والإنسان.
لبيت العائلة المصرية.
The core objectives and funding principles of the United Nations are peace and security, human rights, and sustainable development. These three goals are interconnected, and the success of one is linked to the success of all. There is no doubt that the fourth forum will contribute towards the efforts of the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres in advancing these objectives around the world. I'm therefore pleased to announce that the United Nations and the Forum for Peace will be entering into a partnership to design a roadmap for advancing religious education in Muslim societies. We are signing a memorandum of understanding to work together in the planning of 10 workshops in 2018 and 2019 across the Muslim world, bringing together schools, academia, and government representatives.
I met a lot of new people, a lot of brilliant young women who were doing amazing work. And of course, everyone came with something to offer. But the warmth and the generosity of the people, I think, is really what stands out for me. Everyone was really open. Their humanity was on full display. So it was wonderful.
I'd just like to ask the panel what they think regarding we've heard a lot of inspiring stories of collaboration over the last 3 days between lots of different communities. How can we as the media get that story out to the wider public in a more effective way than we're doing at the moment?
I would say that we as communities need to tell our stories better and make sure that we put it out to the media in a more effective way. I work in professional communications, and I know so often how people get very basic things very wrong, whether that's putting together an effective press release, whether it's who to send it to, what time to send it to, how to follow up with someone, how to speak to editors, how to speak to all that. So I think there's a lot more information is needed within our communities on how to do that better.
If we're looking at Muslim and Christian communities, what is it that we have in common that can serve as a bridge? And one comes to mind, and that is Maryam, Mary. If we wanted to soften people's attitudes toward us, they have to see us like we are them, right? Mirror image. And a people who believe enough in Maryam to have a chapter in our holy book named after her can't be all bad.
Thank you. Rabia, you wanted to respond to that?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I just wanted to respond with something that occurred to me while you were talking. I mean, all the things you're saying, like, if you're a Muslim, you live in a Muslim society, family, community, country, you know all these things are true. We're just like any other community. You know, one thing there's a very interesting phenomena in the United States where there is a very committed group of people that sponsors groups of people to go to Israel, okay? So there are American Jews and Israeli organizations. They take delegations constantly, year round to Israel. They're doing the smart thing for their country and their people. We don't do that. We have almost, 50 or more Muslim majority countries in this world, and they're one. And that's a very simple PR move. If they come and live amongst us and experience our communities and countries in the same way, that is going to combat so much of what media can't do and social media can't do.
We've seen a lot of collaboration and inspirational stories from that collaboration. How can we get those stories beyond these four walls to the wider world so people realize there's a lot of positive work going on?
Absolutely, I agree with you. It's very important that as Muslims in the West, we step out of our comfort zone and speak to people that we might not agree with. We're all too often in our own bubble, talking to individuals that we agree with and just kind of backslapping each other and just kind of nodding heads with each other. We have to get out of our comfort zone. We have to go out and tell people our story, whether that be individually, on social media, whether that be contacting newspapers, writing them, whatever. It's imperative that we share good practice wherever we find it and share peace, love, and harmony and all those sorts of nice things.
What's your take on the responsibility that people here have to spread this message of collaboration further?
Yeah, the question really is, like, we cannot see this conference, this gathering as like kind of the end point. This is like a beginning. It has to be a launching pad of how do you then go back to your communities, have programming around it, write about it, talk to people about it, and how do you live that message too, right? Like, how do you live this message? So our personal responsibility is to make sure that when we come back next year, it's not that we were here a year, we were absent, you know, philosophically and emotionally and mentally from this, intellectually from this entire conversation, and then we show back up. So at least you have participants here, but you have a lot of leadership here. So they have to go, and these conversations have to be modeled and scaled down and scaled up, but scaled down definitely all the way down to the grassroots in the communities.
A lot of people spreading war right now. We're trying to spread peace. And the Prophet ﷺ said, can I tell you something, that if you do it, you'll enter paradise. Afshu salam bainakum, spread peace amongst you. And so we're spreading peace. There's people out there that can do whatever they want. Yawm al-Qiyamah, on the Day of Judgment, for those of us who believe in it, God's going to make it all clear, right? We'll see who was right and who was wrong, and we just need to wait it out. Everybody should be doing what they think is the right thing to do, and we'll let God judge.
God made us relational. If we are fundamentally relational, then we're fundamentally collaborative. Then finally, and Islam knows this, the other world's religions know this, then finally your well-being is mine, and mine is yours. And if you're ailing or ill or injured, I'm really not fully well myself. And so all of us increasingly know this in very concrete terms, because we are more aware of the world, we are among each other in a way that is perhaps unprecedented in time.
There is so much education that needs to be done in America and in Europe too, and throughout the Americas, to help people understand what Islam is and what it is not, and to look for efforts to bring greater understanding both into the Muslim world of non-Muslim religions, but into non-Muslim religious communities about Islam.
Had God willed, He would have made you a single community. But He wanted to test you regarding what has come to you. So compete with each other in doing good.
It's been an incredible 3 days in the conference centre, and now as people start to leave, I'm sure they're reflecting on the powerful words they heard from the speakers on the stage behind me. But now the work really starts as people take that message back to their communities, wherever in the world those communities are. I certainly hope you feel as inspired as I do, as we continue, as Sheikh Abdullah bin Bayer said, on our path to peace.